I'm your host, Webb Dillard. I hope that it didn't come across to y'all as that did to me. This Blog Talk Radio format is kind of killing me here. Well, it was an interesting evening. Well, a couple of evenings over there in Charlotte. Came down to a last lap to decide a championship. I think the World of Outlaws, they got their ending where Lucas Oils didn't get theirs. Most of you know by now, Josh Richards has a tire go down last lap. Eckert gets by him and collects a championship in the process. We'll hear some comments from Charlotte here in a little bit. Tonight on our program, we've got Kelley Carlton coming up. Kelley Carlton of Kelcar Motorsports, formerly of the Southern All-Stars. Also on the show, we've got Rick Salter. He's a driver out of Illinois, late model driver, crate late model driver, super late model driver. We got special guest host who I'll bring on the program here. Let's go ahead and bring him on now. This is Brian Gray, theme music.
If you want to be like Hollywood, break that shit like you know you should. In a platinum car, it'll be all good. The girls will want you just like Hollywood.
Ryan Gray, welcome to In the Dirt. How are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty good. How's things going down there in the South, Mr. Webb Dillard?
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and spill my heart out. It was a little tough to have the Tide let me down against LSU. I know this is not a college football show, but Saturday could have went better. It was a good game, though. I don't know if you watched it, I don't know if you're a football fan, but other than that, things are great.
Well, I guess I should be a Tide fan. Is that what I need to be boosting here right now? And say that they just got robbed?
I'm not going to be a crybaby Alabama fan or a SEC homer. I've been accused of that before on several outlets. But what I will say is that it was a good ball game. Defense was on both ends of the field for both teams. And if Stanford loses and if Oklahoma beats Oklahoma State, we could be watching an all-SEC championship game, and they won't hurt my feelings none.
Well, really the only football that I've ever followed was the Bengals. Even,
that's brutal.
I know, but see, I'm a Cincinnati guy. Well, not really. I'm a Hamilton guy, but it's, more or less a Cincinnati guy. And that's just, the team that I've supported all the years. Yeah, they went to the Super Bowl, twice and got beat, but they're undefeated. Well, I shouldn't say they're not undefeated right now, but they're on a 5-win streak, which is like pretty good for the Bengals.
Yeah. Now, this has showed my NFL ignorance, and I know, sorry people, we're going to get this football stuff out of the way, but have they been to the Super Bowl since Ickey Woods?
No.
Okay. Well,
I don't even. Well, I think they made it to the playoffs. I think once.
Ugh,
but I'm not a fair weather fan. I just support them regardless, and maybe hopefully one day that they will come through for us. But yeah, I'm not really. I don't really follow the football too much. I spend too much time out in the garage working on this crap.
I got you. Well, I got an Alabama wife, and she knows how to use guns, and so she told me one time, "You root or I shoot," and I said, "Roll Tide." So that's it. That's it.
That's pretty much a no-brainer.
Yeah. You don't want to. I was in the military and dodged bullets. I don't want to have to do it at the house.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Gray, you were a part of the DRC posse, the tribe, the entourage of southern Ohio grassroots. Tell everybody who may not know who you are a little bit about you and your racing.
Well, my name is Brian Gray, obviously. I met up with Mr. Jody Shannon from the DRC a few years ago, and, those guys have showed me a ton of support over the last couple of years, and I think we, make some progress in the dirt late model ranks here lately. 4 years ago was actually my, first introduction to dirt late model racing. I've been sticking with it ever since. Prior to that, I've ran the IMCA modified, UMP type modifieds and street stocks. I've been a local guy around the scene for, the past, I guess I've been driving for, I don't even know how long now. But third generation racer. My grandfather, built NASCAR style cars back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and he would pretty much just say that I was born and bred into this deal, so I'm pretty much here to stay.
Now, I've grown to know you and the guys from DRC over. Well, I kind of kept tabs on everybody the last couple of years, but over the last few months, and you may or may not be the most popular guy. Explain that one to me.
Well, I mean, most people, just about everybody I talk to, I haven't heard anything really bad, to my face. Maybe a couple encounters on the racetrack because of racing incidents, but I kind of have an infamous following of fans, so to speak, that like to hit the message boards and stuff, and they aggravate people to an extent that I think that they kind of just have a predetermined, I don't know, I guess they just think that I am what is, I'm portrayed on the internet websites. But I'm just a guy that's out here just trying to make it in the sport. I just want to race every week. We work hard in the garage, and we go to as many tracks as we can, and I try to run with, the best competition I can. And I think we're making ground on some people, and a lot of people don't like to see that. That's the only thing I can figure.
Well, all right. It's not that I thought that. I just, you when people put their necks out there and put their opinion and their voice out there, people are real quick to come in and knock you down and whatever. And it's just, me and you spoke for the first time today on the telephone, and man, I was like, this ain't the Brian Gray that some people say that it is. So I thank you for coming on. I appreciate your opinions, and I want to get to what is the health up there in the Midwest. I don't get to the Midwest much, but what's the health of the late models up there, and just the racing in general, and in your eyes?
I honestly don't think it's that bad. A lot of people, they criticize, the tracks that we race at, but I just think it's because, we've really got a lot of tracks that are close up here, and it's kind of hard to pull cars from every, racetrack to one place. When you have so many tracks and not enough cars, I honestly think that's what it is. Now, some people will highly argue that, and I get their points. But from where I'm at right here, there's 4 dirt tracks that are 35 minutes from my garage door. So I'd say if a racetrack is seeing 20, 25 cars every weekend, that's pretty good. When it comes to late models, now the other stuff, there's some growing ranks. The compacts are really starting to come on, I think, and I believe there's a few racetracks that are going to take on to that. I know that a lot of the asphalt racetracks, such as like Killcare, Winchester, places like that have or Anderson Speedway over in your neck of the woods, which was your neck of the woods. They've kind of taken a liking to that, and I'm pretty sure that that's going to be what replaces our street stocks that we see now. I would say the health it's above moderate. It's probably not great yet, but I don't think it's dying like a lot of people think.
Well, down here, you see, like when I was at Talladega Short Track during the NASCAR weekend, man, they piled up some cars in there for the late models, and they put on one heck of a show. One of the better shows I've actually seen, to be honest with you. We talked earlier about shows we've seen that were good. This was one, and there wasn't, quote unquote, the name guys there. There was a few guys there, a couple of heavy hitters, but down here, man, it's it's a hit and miss sometimes with the late models. I've seen where, you know, some of the World Outlaw guys, you know, they'll have those races will have, you know, enough to make it interesting, you know, and some people have to load them up. But I've been to other shows down here in the past couple of years that, man, they were dropping crate cars in there to make a field. So I don't know if it's you know, hopefully the economy's on its way back up. Hopefully they can I think it's like the housing market. Once it leans itself out and straight, you know what I'm saying, the weaker stuff falls off, then it gets strong again. Maybe that's what it's going to take. Well, Brian, I'm glad that you're here.
I appreciate being here, Webb. I'm looking forward to the rest of the show. It sounds like we got some pretty interesting guests. Yeah,
we got Kelley Carlton will be calling up here in just a second, so we're gonna go to a short break, and then when we come back, we should have Kelley Carlton with us. This is In the Dirt. If you noticed during our little musical commercial breaks, there's no commercials. So if you have an event out there or anybody out there that has a company or product, you know, you can get a hold of me at inthedirtradio@gmail.com. That's inthedirtradio@gmail.com. Well, all right, race fans, we're back, and our first guest of the evening, Kelley Carlton. Is that you, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm here.
How the heck are you, brother?
I'm doing well. How about yourself, Webb?
Just poor white kid trying to make it, as they say. Brian, we got my special guest co-host tonight, Brian Gray.
How's it going, Mr. Carlton?
Doing well, Brian. Doing well.
I'm sitting here looking at a picture of you in Dirt Late Model magazine, and let me say the image does not sound like the voice. It doesn't match up. Are you sure you're that guy?
Do I have a fat guy voice? Is that the problem?
No, I mean, they got you looking like a big, bad son of a buck on here, let me tell you.
Man, my girlfriend took that picture, so I don't know.
So she knows your good side, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. If there is one.
Well, Kelley, I've met you through Southern All-Stars when you were you were tenured there, and thought y'all did a great job. Now you've moved on. We'll get back to Southern All-Stars. Now you've moved on. Tell us a little bit about what you've moved on to past the Southern All-Stars.
Well, at the end of the year last year, we've kind of just become a little bit, when I say we, you know, I have a whole kind of team that's involved with my program, and we've just kind of become disenchanted with the direction of series racing and what was going on, and we just felt like there was a market out there for racetracks that wanted to do special events, and they needed some help with those special events, but they didn't want to pay that series price. They didn't want to sanction it. They wanted to be able to make a little more money off of the program and try to, you know, I mean, with the economy like it is, it's so hard for a racetrack promoter right now to make any money. I know there's a lot of folks out there that don't necessarily believe that, but I can assure you these guys most of them that are in the business, that have been in the business for any amount of time, they're busting their tails right now doing everything they can to make their program successful and be able to, you know, open up the next week. So we had, of course, been involved with Talladega Short Track this will be our 12th year. In 2012 will be our 12th year of being involved with their Ice Bowl program, and we've kind of always done that as an independent type situation, and so we put a pretty decent schedule together last year. We ended up doing about 12 events, which, you know, that kind of worked out to what we were looking to do, kind of where we weren't on the road all the time as we had been the past 10 years. We weren't on the road nearly every weekend racing, so it gave us some free time to do other things and help out with other programs. And you know, I've always had the marketing side where I've helped drivers and whatnot with their press releases and things like that, and it gave me a little more time to devote to those guys too. So it's worked out well.
Now, okay, you're familiar with some of the tracks that I'm familiar with here in the South, and And without, just, throwing them under the bus, some tracks are in huge need of what you guys do as far as controlling a show, getting a show in, staging it, doing it. Could you see a point in time where a track owner just kind of hires an outside company to run shows like you guys do?
Well, yeah, I do really. I think if you can just find the right, and I do a little thing I'm going to do at RPM Promoters Convention. It's kind of a PowerPoint presentation type thing where I talk about some of the points that are the successful tracks that I've been to around the country. They kind of share 10 common items, or so I've found. And one of those things is the right personnel. I think if you have the right personnel in place, people that understand how the program's supposed to run and understand that those fans in the grandstands didn't come to watch 2,713 heat races, and they come to see a show. We need to entertain them. We need to put on a good show for them, and then we need to get them home at a decent hour. And so, yeah, I do think there's certainly a place for that. I think maybe the place for it is more coming in and training these guys and letting them see what a program, make a timeline, work, how you put structure a show and that kind of thing, and then you got to stick to it. So I do, yeah, I think that's something that and it is something that we've done already with, with success this year, and we'll actually be doing something similar to that in November for Red down at Scraven Motor Speedway. We're going to go down there and help him with that big program that he's got and try to help him move that thing along.
Well, Brian, you're a driver, and I'm only asking you this because you are a driver. But I've spent some time trying to get cars into staging. What are you drivers doing?
See, that's the thing, Webb. I get this question every once in a while from a few people, and I'm asking myself the same thing because here I'll give you, for instance, we'll shoot at any of them. Even when we ran at the North-South 100 this year, there was somebody on a four-wheeler driving around. Heat 1, you're up. Heat 2, blah, blah, blah. Now, I may have a little bit of anxiety build up from, back when I was younger. I started out racing go-karts. So the deal there is that when they were ready to start the race, if you weren't in the lineup, they were starting that race if there was just two guys there in line. And if you didn't make it, you didn't make it. So you kind of had a little bit of pressure on you. And I kind of carried that over to now. So when I hear guys, when I hear the guys come around, and I'm constantly sending Michael or somebody up to check the lineup sheet, find out where we're at, when we, who's on the track, how many heats are left. And I'll be up in the starting line, and I'll start, at the back of the field, say, for instance, and I look up there, and I'm pulling up in the grid, and there's nobody there. So I don't know what they're doing. I would say the cure to that would be to for the track owners to roll the heats out onto the racetrack, and if you're not ready to go, then you're not ready to go. And as important as it is to be starting up front, maybe some people will get their act together and start getting there.
Kelley, is that some of the stuff that you guys are trying to cure?
Yeah, it is, absolutely, Webb. We do face that, and I think the biggest part of my job, I think, and this is what I tell all the track owners that I talk to, is I'm a time manager. That's my job. 100% what I do is I look at the clock, I look at what's on the racetrack, and I figure out when it's, and I actually use my guys to go around and start, getting cars rounded up. And I usually do it one race ahead of whatever's on. And it's always been our policy, even the last few years that I was with Southern All-Stars, and then even now, if you aren't there when we call for you, you've missed your spot. And, that's on you. You fall on the tail of the heat, or you fall on the tail of the feature, or, if you miss your qualifying spot, you've missed your qualifying spot. I understand that you're going to have problems potentially, but unfortunately, we've noticed that there's a pattern with certain racers where they drag their feet. And I tell a story about Ivan Lloyd from Florida, who was our champion a couple of times in Southern All-Stars. And the first year that he ran with us, we went to Cleveland for the season opener there in March, and he was in a heat race, and he was supposed to start on the outside pole of the second heat race, and we rolled the second heat race out. He's nowhere to be found, and they closed that back gate. And we told him in the driver's meeting, hey, if the back gate closes, you've missed it. And he missed it. You know, starting on the outside of the front row, qualified well, and he missed his heat race. But I can assure you, after that, he was never late ever again.
That's the problem that I see. You know, sometimes a track owner or whoever's running the track makes himself open for shots. Because, you know, I've been at tracks where, you know, this guy will get this break. I'm not saying it's a epidemic by any means. But I was impressed with, let's take Columbus Motor Speedway. And it was the Cash Cow, the World Outlaw show there earlier in the season. And I was so excited to see Jason Fager come down and race with the Southern guys. I was like, man, I could check him off my want-to-see list. And he runs well. He runs second, I think, in his heat race. He qualifies good, runs second. He's going to start up front and nowhere to be found come feature time, and he starts in the rear. I applaud Columbus for doing that, and I hated that it happened to Fager, but you know, we need people out there who are going to make the tough decisions, but not necessarily the track owners. It's got to be somebody that's in charge of it, like somebody like your organization.
Right. You know, I mean, there's certainly a fine line between being respectful of the racers and trying to give them ample time. I mean, you know, when you're on a show where it's we worked programs where it was a two-division show where there's not time, you know, and you try to work with those guys on things like that, and you try to give them the time. But at some point, you have to know when it's drop-dead time and you can't wait. You know, you can't drag it out any longer. And, you know, I usually would do like the 5-minute window if that's it, you know.
But I mean, Kelley, I hate to interrupt you, but even 5 minutes, you know, that they've got all that time to be ready. If something's happened to your car or whatever, you know, something's happened to your car, kick the crew in the butt and tell them to get moving, and you either get it fixed and you're ready to go or you're not. That would be my point, because I've been to racetracks. Let me tell you, I've started features at 2 o'clock in the morning. I don't like starting a feature at 2 o'clock in the morning when I drove 6 hours to get to the racetrack and I have a 6-hour drive home because I can't afford to get a motel room.
Right. Well, that's one of the things, and again, along that same line, in my contract, my rider, one of the things is that I have control of the schedule. I have control of the time, and late models will be on there. If it's a late model show, I should say. If it's a late model show, and that's predominantly what I'm running, late models will be on the racetrack no later than 10:15. Now, certainly, there are times that things are going to come up, like weather issues and things like that, where you don't, you know, you can't control that, and it's going to make you later. I mean, I look at Fred Brown's With Raceway up there. We did a show up there earlier, and you know, it rained for 2 solid hours. He worked on his racetrack, got it back in shape, and if we had started at the time we were supposed to, we would have done it at 9:30. But we ended up, you know, it ran until like 1 o'clock in the morning. But I mean, this guy, and you can tell the guys that try, and I appreciate the fact that there are promoters out there that are willing to listen and are open to ideas and understanding. Hey, some guys might understand this thing a little better than I do.
Now, and of course, you know, I've witnessed, you know, you guys did the Ray Cook deal, you did Ice Bowl, and I mean, what you guys do is, I mean, there's nobody out there that I can see is doing what you guys are doing, so I commend you on trying to make the shows better. I want to move on to when you left Southern All-Stars. And I'm not here to down any series. I'm not here to down anybody who runs a series or whatever. But I was at a show, and the Southern All Stars was couldn't get some cars sometimes. You care to? And I know Lynn's taking over and he's doing a fine job. But can you express to me about what, at the tail end of your tenure, what was going on with the car counts and stuff with Southern All Stars? And I don't mean to throw you a hard ball or anything, Kelley. You don't have a lot of respect for you.
I'm certainly open to answering any questions. You know, it's a product of one of the things we talked about before you even got on here. It's certainly a product. One of the products of the economy is certainly killing it right now, and the area that Southern All-Stars racing in is saturated with racing series that are, you're racing against those guys. Nobody's running a weekly show, so that's not a big problem. But you got SRS right there, and the Tennessee racing series that came about, and you have so many of those guys, BOB and all those kind of guys that are just kind of overlapping Carolina Clash and some of the more southern, the pro and things like that actually came into the traditional Southern All-Stars territory, and they're giving the race to the promoters at a cheaper cost, and a lot of the times, particularly, SRS comes to mind, and I'm certainly not putting those guys down. They do a great job with their program, but they were able to come in and give away their product, basically.
Yeah.
Because they didn't. The guys that ran the show or owned the series were actually the racers, and all they wanted was the opportunity to go somewhere and race for a decent amount of money every week. So it didn't matter if their racing series made any money. They didn't need it to make money. But
that's right.
But Southern All-Stars, it has to make money in order. It's a business, and it needs to make money. And certainly that was one of the biggest factors, and the fact that that had certainly diluted the product, and so it was harder to schedule races. Those last couple of years were really tough getting races scheduled, and for years, when Lynn and I worked on the schedule together before, for years we actually had a waiting list of racetracks who wanted to get races, and then it just really became hard. The economy was a big thing. The fact that the series is only probably carrying 4 or 5 guys at best, to every racing show that they had. Those are certainly things that, those are the only explanations I have for it. I don't think it was I don't think anybody had a dislike or anything of our guys or anything like that. And we certainly raced at quality racetracks. You look at Cleveland Speedway and North Georgia and, Boyd's and just places where you can race.
And I wasn't trying, and what I was trying to do is, but which leads me to my next question of you, because you've been in the sport a lot longer than I have, and you understand the sport, more than what I do, and that's no problem. I have no problem admitting that. Why can't we come up with? Is there too many series trying to make it? There
are. There's no question about that. It certainly has diluted the product. Now, I can remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, there were certainly a lot more guys racing super late models. There are a lot of those guys, what I call fringe guys that are certainly weekend guys, and they race week to week. Those fringe guys that aren't racing anymore. We used to go to Cleveland and get 50 cars at $4,000 to win show.
Yeah, that's right.
Those guys don't. A lot of those guys aren't racing anymore. But you're again, you've hit on one of the things I think has hurt us really a lot or hurt these individual series. Is there are so many series available to those guys now that they can pick and choose where they want to go. They can pick and choose the tire rule or the rules package which best suits them. It's good for the racer, but but it certainly splits the cars for a promoter and a series owner and for the fans.
And I've heard this said before too, is what about, there's how many different kinds of late models now? What do you got? You got crate cars and supers and limited late models and this late model and 8-inch spoilers and 10-inch spoilers and this tire rule and that tire rule.
Right.
That right there, that's got to be a contributing factor too.
It is indeed. There are a lot of guys that used to run super that have gone the crate route because the engines have become so costly now. You're looking at $30,000 just for a really well built open late model engine, and so those guys are looking for alternative means. Hey, I've got this race car sitting here ready to go, but I can't afford an engine for it. But I can go spend $5,000, get a crate engine, and I can go racing. So I think that certainly contributed.
Well, Kelley, I appreciate you answering the questions I threw at you. It certainly was personally, I was just wondering, and I'm sure a lot of people out there were wondering too. What is going to be your next event with Kelley?
Well, again, I'm going up to help Red out with his Screven Motor Speedway Georgia Outlaw State Championships on November 18th and 19th. I'm actually just kind of going to coordinate the show for him more than anything. He's having a 7,000 to win 100 lap along with his National Late Model Sportsman Renegade 4 class, paying 7,000 to win. I think they had about 100 of those cars last year for this event. And that's actually our last race of the year, and we'll be going to PRI and IMIS, and then kicking it back off with the Ice Bowl in January.
Well, we'll certainly see you at the Indianapolis show, and I'll see you at also the Ice Bowl. Is there a website where tracks and drivers and everybody can get a hold of you at? What's your website?
They're working on our website now, but if you go to kelleycarmotorsports.com, it will take you to our Facebook page, which will connect you to us and tell you how to get a hold of us.
Well, Mr. Carlton, I really appreciate you. Can I call on you again to come on? I really appreciate you coming on tonight. It was a good conversation.
Anytime, Webb.
All right, that's Kelley Carlton with Kelley Car Motorsports. If you guys have an event, if you're a driver that needs some pub, this is a guy to get a hold of. You can also contact me at inthedirtradio@gmail.com, and I'll send everything over to Kelley, and we'll try to get you hooked up with him. Kelley, thank you again.
Thanks, Webb. Have a good night.
When we come back, race fans, we're going to be talking to Jonathon Masters. He is with the Indianapolis trade show, and he will talk to us about what to expect at this big show come up at the first week of December. And if we're lucky, he'll tell us about growing up a Masters. That's right, son of Keith and Tater. His dad is Keith, I think. I'm showing my ignorance here, but Mastersville. We all know what that is. But when we come back, Jonathon Masters. Brian, you there?
I'm absolutely here.
Yeah, what a retard I was. I couldn't. Well, I'd like to welcome to the program, live from Las Vegas, Jonathon Masters. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you doing, Webb?
Tell everybody who your dad is. So
My dad is actually Tater Masters. You had a 50-50 chance of getting it right, and unfortunately, you got that one wrong.
Well, I'm not a betting man, and
that's good odds out here.
Yeah, there's great odds where you're at. All right, Jonathon, we'll get to the Masters connection here in just a second. What's going on with you now? You are you're a big shot with the Indianapolis Trade Show. Tell us about that.
Well, I definitely wouldn't call me a big shot, but I do work for the sales department at the IMIS show in Indianapolis. We'll be going live for our third year, December 8th, 9th, and 10th. We've added another 30% since last year, and we've been out to SEMA displaying there, just getting ready for the show.
So how was the SEMA show out there, by the way?
It was fantastic. You know, I've never really been out here before for the SEMA show, and I feel like you come here and you get to connect with a lot of the marketplace that we don't normally see in the Midwest. A lot of street performance, a lot of the NHRA background guys. So it was definitely an interesting experience, but hope to come again next year.
Well, tell me that you at least got to get a good look at some of the Spade-made cars, or any of the cars from Midwest Custom Paint.
I got a good look at about everything in that convention center, so I'd almost guarantee I went by it once or twice.
Now, I'm not a Ford guy by any stretch of the imagination. I know a lot of people are Ford people. No, I'm not. But tell me about the Ford display with all the cars on top of the containers. Was that cooler in person? Because it looked cool on video.
You know, something I enjoyed about the Ford booth was a lot of the manufacturing booths tried to go for more of their mid-sized vehicle, but the Ford booth, I mean, they just let them have it with the American muscle and the historic background of the Ford company, and I really did enjoy that booth this year.
I've seen that on just the had that Lotus there, had the Bill Elliott Talladega 212, 212 mile per hour car. Trevor Baines Which that car couldn't have been Trevor Bain's car, because that car is supposed to be at the Hall of Fame in Daytona, isn't it? The Daytona 500 winner?
Yeah, I believe the actual car is the Daytona USA, the winner is, but that was definitely one of the cars that the Woods brothers had in their stable.
Now, so we'll get to growing up a Masters here in just a second, but I want to know, I talked to Miss Masters one time, and she told me that you went to what kind of schooling did you go to progress in the sport? You went to some kind of school. Can you elaborate on that?
I went to Rowan Caribous Community College, which is there in Concord, North Carolina, right there in the middle of NASCAR country. They actually were one of the first colleges in the country to offer an actual college degree in the motorsports field, which was motorsports management and technologies. But it seems like since then a lot of the schools have been doing it, but I mean, there was just no other experience that could have added up to going down there, being around all them people. I made some great contacts and made a lot of lifelong friends.
Specifically, tell me about. I got some listeners who are younger who are trying to make some decisions in their life, and they're racers or they're race fans. What's the curriculum like in a degree program like that?
In a degree program, you have a lot. There's two routes you can go, and I mean I looked at them both. There's strictly the technical programs, which a lot of the tech schools offer, and then there's some college programs. What I like about the college program, Webb, is you get actual college credits. It's an actual degree. If I wanted to transfer to another college and go for business management or go for something completely different, sort of a backup career, that's always the possibility. If you go to a technical school, you're going to get a slip of paper, a technical certificate, and if things don't go your way and all of a sudden you have to look for a medical field job or a management job, it's harder to progress. But when you go into a college scenario, you have all those credit hours on your record, and it's easy to go on to other things. But the curriculum, it was divided between some of the basic technical things you need to know in racing, a lot of chassis setup, some small engines, basic stuff, and then also there was team management and a lot of logistic type stuff, moving teams around from point A to point B, along with your usual math, science, and history stuff you get in colleges.
Now, listen, you and I both know, and Brian knows, hardworking. You can get a degree of hard knocks, go to that university, but there is a career. You can seek out a career in racing, even if you come from the dirt ranks. That's true, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you can look all around our industry, and there's a lot of professional jobs out there. Maybe not with teams all the time, but you look at companies like Speedway Motorsports and Motorstate and AFCO and
Old Man's Garage,
Shocks and Springs, Old Man's Garage. I mean, there's a lot of professional companies out there that have need for qualified individuals for things other than just going out and running a car from week to week.
All right, well, enough of that, people. I hope that helps somebody out there listening. Buddy of mine was asking, and that was questions he had for you. Now let's get to the real good stuff. Dude, tell me what it was like growing up in the Masters household. I mean, you were right there, everything. Tell me about it.
Well, it's funny because when you're younger, you remember some things about things that happened. I mean, back in the Jack Boggs days, in the early 90s, I was 9, 8, 7 through there, and you don't pick it up as much. I think when I turned 13 was when it really started to hit me what all was going on around. But it's a lot different than most people function. And something else about growing up in a racing household is a lot of people you go on the internet these days and everybody's a dime store expert about, well, this needs to be this way and that needs to be that way. Until you've grown up, depending on those cars running good from week to week, you have no idea what it's like. I mean, some people say, dirt late models, they shouldn't be on television or everything should be grassroots and this, that, and the other. That stuff's great. I mean, we love our grassroots motorsports. I love going to Brownstown Weekly. I still go to weekly shows, but I still believe a lot of these guys in dirt racing are the hardest working men in motorsports, and sometimes they deserve a little bit more than what they earn, you know?
I have to totally agree with you, Jonathan. Hey, while we're on the subject of growing up at Mastersville, what kind of shocks is Don running on his car right now?
It's who?
Brian.
Donnie O.
Yeah, he asked what kind of shocks is Mr. O'Neill running.
Can you give me...
I work at the International Motorsports Industry Show.
Oh, come on. I know you've had to hear... Where's the Moment Center in the front of that car for Florence? I bet you know that.
You know what? I'm sure you can get really informed on everything going on if you show up at the International Motorsports Industry Show, downtown Indianapolis, December 8th, 9th, and 10th.
Absolutely, we'll be there.
That's right. Now, I was kind of looking at the map today. Are you guys expecting a full house for the show?
Well, we expanded 30% this year, which was last year we'd expanded 100% from the first year. So we're working towards it. I mean, we're still selling. I think we've added 10 to 12 new companies in the last few days, so it keeps expanding. I know we're up almost 300% on attendee registration this year, so we're definitely growing show, entering our third year. I know a lot of we're at I think it was over 100 companies are going to be at the show this year that were not there last year, so we are definitely stepping it up.
Now, if you've listened to the show, I'm Old Man's Garage is my day job, and we're going for the first time. We're excited. We've actually got our booth mocked up in the shop, and we know everything goes right now. We're having our own little trade show in the back part of the shop now. So if anybody wants to stop by, you can see the booth, a preview of the booth. All right, Jonathan.
Booth preview.
Yeah, booth preview. All right, Jonathan. So is the tables being good to you out there?
Well, it's definitely. Let me put it this way: I definitely have taken more out than I've put in, so things are going pretty well.
Well, Jonathan, I appreciate having you guys coming on my show. Tell us about the show. Tell us about Growing Up Masters. Is there a website, any companies out there that can go to get more information about the show coming up in December?
Yeah, you can go to www.imis-indy.com, and I want to remind all the race teams out there that this show is open to weekly race teams, drivers, anyone who wants to come learn more about your car. We have over 50 free seminars and over 500 racing exhibitors.
And don't forget, Jonathan, that Indy is the original heart of racing.
That's right.
Nothing like going downtown Indy, Slippery Noodle, all the great establishments we have downtown.
And I was born there, so Indy's not all bad.
Even more of a landmark.
Thank you, Jonathan Masters, and we'll see you in December.
Absolutely.
Everybody log on and check out the Indianapolis trade show. And we'll talk to you at the show, Jonathan.
Absolutely. I'll see you there, Webb. I appreciate it.
Hey, make sure you bring those shock dyno sheets with you.
I'm sure they'll be around there somewhere. All you have to do is attend to find out.
I'd be more happier if you just grabbed the ones off the car sitting in the shop.
Excellent.
Don't work there.
Yeah, but you can get in there. Don't give me that.
Oh, that thing is locked for me.
Oh, man. Hey, I'm trying.
All right, race fans, that's Jonathan Masters and Brian Gray trying to get the secrets of the great Don O'Neill. When we come back, we're going to have Rick Salter out of Illinois, late model driver. We'll be right back. All right, race fans, we're back from that little break there. Hey, Brian, you there, brother?
I'm here.
Man, Kelley Carlton and Jonathan Masters, that's pretty good. We had a pretty good couple segments there.
Yeah, and I was kind of sweating the Kelley Carlton segment because I really took a stab at Dirt Late Model Magazine today, not realizing that I was coming on your show.
Well, listen, the greatest thing about our sport is everybody has an opinion on how it should work, how it should go, how it should do, what shouldn't be done, and we're bringing that to light. We want the opinions from everybody to come out. So you just go. I don't care. But next up, we're gonna call on Mr. Rick Salter. Rick, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to In the Dirt, Mr. Salter.
Glad to be here.
Brian Gray is my co-host. Say hello.
How you doing, sir?
How are you doing, Mr. Salter? Good to talk
beautiful
to you.
day in Illinois here, raining.
Illinois. One of the favorite places of some of my buddies, Fairbury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they live and breathe that place, I think. They're going to turn it into their own private religion.
Well, now, Rick, you drive just about anything with wheels, right?
I try to. If they'll let me get in it, I'll drive it.
And of course, we've met through this the wonder that is Facebook.
Exactly.
Tell us, okay, not everybody knows you. Not everybody can be your but they can be your friend if they go to Facebook and look up Rick Salter. But tell the people who don't know about you a little bit about you and your history in racing.
I've been in racing since 2000. We started in the sportsman class. Went from there in 2003, jumped into a late model, and really didn't know what we were doing when we did it.
Don't worry, a lot of guys are like that now.
Yeah, none of us knew what the hell we were doing when we started.
I mean, we knew how many hours it was going to take. We just, from jumping from that one class to another, did not know how far behind I was going to be in knowledge and everything else. But since 2003, we've been in the super late model. 2007, we won a track championship at Highland Speedway. We got a couple feature wins throughout around here in different tracks. And 2003, 4, and 5, we're in the top 15 in UNP national points. Just from there, it's just basically just been running wherever and just having some fun at it.
Now, down here in the South, we have, I don't know, kind of slick racetracks. Well, what are you used to up there? What track conditions do you guys usually get?
Our tracks the thing is, our tracks will vary because of the weather is so different up here from beginning of the season to the end of the season. The rain, springtime, we get so much rain up here. You'll see tracks that get wet, tacky, big berms on them, and they're tractioned up, and they will get ruts in them just because we don't have that red clay that packs. We've just got, it's just topsoil dirt, But when it gets black, it gets slick from top to bottom, and that's when it gets fun, especially for a team like ours. We're a little bit underfunded and underpowered, so it helps us out a ton when the tracks get slick like that. And then summertime, it's slick pretty much all summer, and then come fall again, it gets rutted up and rough and fast and hooked up racetracks because the weather changes.
Sounds like Southern Ohio.
Yeah, it's pretty much, we're in the Midwest. We deal with the same thing, Brian.
So what's the salty dog thing on the race car?
The salty dog thing came basically, my dad was, when he first moved out here, he was from Long Island, New York. He moved out here as a truck driver. The short version is, his handle on that CB was the salty dog. And it just, after the years, my friends and everything, it passed on to me. So that's the clean version. I'll tell you a dirty version some other time. It's just kind of a joke. So
I just had to throw that in, Webb, because I pulled him up on Facebook, and I seen this picture of this orange and black number 1, and for a second I was like, hold on, this guy's got Wayne Chen's number on the side of his car.
No,
actually, Wayne Chen's got my number.
Ooh.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
I think I've been in it a little bit longer than he has. I'm not sure. I don't know when he started.
Now, I read something interesting a couple of days, I don't know, maybe a week or two ago on your Facebook page. You got to talk to a legendary chassis builder. Start from the beginning.
Well, I'm on Facebook. I'm friends with a lot of the Old Man's Garage and you and chassis builders and stuff like that. Well, one of them is Barry Wright Race Cars, and they were talking on their Facebook page. They didn't know whether they're going to race because they were having trailer problems. Well, for 8 years, I worked at Ultra Comp Race Car Trailers in Highland, Illinois, which actually built the truck. I built that truck and trailer that they're using. So when I saw they were having problems, I mentioned to Facebook that I'd worked on that truck and trailer and I built it. And if they had any questions, and the very next morning, I got a phone call from the Barry Wright. Kind of threw me off guard with it. Said, "This is Barry Wright, and I heard you can answer some questions for me." So it was kind of a neat deal, last time that somebody called me, it was kind of a joke, and they said that their name was Billy Moyer, and they wanted me to drive the race car, and that was one of my buddies joking with me. So sometimes you just don't know what to expect, what's going on with my friends. And it was Barry Wright, and we, through his contacts and my contacts and stuff, pretty much he figured they got found out down there, but they got the problem solved, and they were on the road and on to a $15,000 win show.
So Barry Wright actually speaks. He talks.
Yes, he does. He's a very, very quiet individual, but he's a very nice gentleman to talk to on the phone. No,
I've talked to him a couple of times, and he's a man of few words. And I just was shocked that he had so he's got good phone etiquette, evidently.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and I've heard that he's pretty religious and just a down to earth guy, and that's pretty much what I got from him was when you're talking to him was. Man of very few words, but you got to respect the legend of Barry Wright too.
That's right. Now, so how did your team? If you had to put you guys do a lot of UMP racing. What other series do you guys frequent up that way?
Mostly it's UMP. We will see. The Mars series will come up here and run about 3 or 4 races. We'll try to run with them when they do come up here because we really like their series. They travel a little too far for us. And then we got what they call, we got the UMP Crate Series. We run some of them races. And now this year, Mark Voigt, who is actually a super late model driver, started a crate series called the PCRA, the Pro Crate Late Model Racers Association. And they run about 10 races, I believe, and we ran about 4 or 5 of them this year with them guys with the crate car too.
And you guys get some pretty good coverage up there by. And I know I'll say his name wrong, but Tim Herbst, how you say his last name? Yeah,
Tim Herbst, All-American Race Talk and stuff like that. They do the radio show, kind of like what you've got here. They got a radio show basically based on just a small-town radio station, but they do it every Monday night, and they cover the weekends events and stuff like that. For anywhere from drag racing to midgets to late models, everything is going on throughout the weekend.
Yeah, I've always been impressed, with All-American Race Talk, and that. He does a good job. He's used several of my videos. So what is on the horizon? Well, I was going to ask you how did your season go? If you had to put a grade on it, what would be your grade on your season, your super and your crate? How did you guys fare this year?
The crate. We came out late, and we really weren't sure what to expect with the car and stuff like that. And the crate, I'd put probably A+ on it. We led some races. We won a feature in it and stuff like that. We led one of the big races at the end of the year, and the cars got too tight at the end of the race. And that's on me. I set it up, and that was my mistake. But I'd give it an A to A+ on the crate car.
There you go.
The super. We had a really good season. We finished second points at one track, and we finished top 10 at the Saturday night track, which. Neither track were we really running for points. We missed nights and everything else. I'd give it a B. We had parts failure and some stuff. We had rocker arm problems, which everything, when something breaks on the car, as long as it's out of our control, we feel like we've done our job as a crew and a team and stuff like that. When we can't control when it's breaking, the parts, if it comes down to money more or less than anything else, we really can't control that, and we'll accept that, So I give the super a B. We had a lot of good runs. Won a lot of heats, won some dashes. We had a lot of second-place finishes and a couple features that we probably gave away this year.
Well, would you like to thank any of your sponsors, anybody involved in the race team for the 2011 season?
The big one on the front is the Air Force Reserves, the military that's helping. The military, the Air Force Reserves help us big time. The soldiers that are fighting for us and stuff like that. Whether people believe in it or not, they're out there helping to keep us free. So. Them guys, Trent Chiropractor, EJ Care Farm Supply, Flying J Race Engines out of Belchester, Minnesota that builds our race engines, Performance Fuel, Hams Oil.
Well, all right, Rick. Hey, you're the first of our driver kind of spotlights. I'm going to try to bring as many of our regional hot shoes. And I appreciate you coming on. Are you guys done for the season? You going anywhere this
our
month?
season's pretty much wrapped up. We're basically, the cars get tore apart, getting ready for next year and getting geared up for starting March and geared up for the 2012 season to come out flying.
You need to come down south to see us.
We'd like to. Some of these series we like to come chasing around and stuff like that. The problem is, and The problem is, a smaller team like we are and stuff like that, the 1986 Chevy box truck doesn't haul like some of them big haulers does.
That's right. But I like when they come in there. I like seeing the old school stuff.
You know, real quick, and I know you're trying to get going and stuff. In the early '90s and stuff, I watched Jim Curry and Jim Lee show up with open trailer at the Pepsi Nationals I-55, and everybody else was in big haulers, Billy Moore and all them. They rolled in a Chevy truck that was so rusted out and unbelievable, and a round 2 trailer with trailer axles underneath it, and unrolled a car they called the Bullet. And they whipped them and left with the money in these open trailers, and it was just one of the coolest things I ever saw.
Well, Rick, I appreciate you coming on your stories. We're going to get to some callers here after the break. Hey, bud, get with me on Facebook. See what 2012 holds for you, okay?
You guys have a great night, and then enjoying the show so far. Keep it up.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Well, it's good to talk to you, Rick, and I'll see you up in Illinois sometime next year, I'm sure.
Good luck with your racing and stuff, and hopefully we'll get to race with each other. And
I'll be messaging you on Facebook because I just hit you up, so you can help me with some setup stuff up there since I don't race up in Illinois.
I love Brian's always trying to pilfer information. I love it.
We'll be teammates.
Hey, us racers, we stick together.
There you go.
Also, guys,
Rick,
take it easy. Thank you very much.
That's Rick Salter, and when we come back, we actually got some callers. Brian, you up for some calls?
I'll take some calls.
All right. Well,
they can't shoot me through the phone, right?
Yeah, let's just go to a call here. Go ahead, caller. What's your name? Where are you from?
Josh Edwards from Hamilton, Ohio.
Oh my God.
Apparently, Brian knows Josh Edwards. Josh, how are you, Steve?
Josh Edwards is a good friend of mine. I consider him a good friend. So take it easy on me, brother.
What's going on, Brian?
The floor is yours, Josh.
What's that?
I'm sitting here actually in the dining room, drinking Coke, Monster, and taking notes.
Yeah. I heard you're getting a new car. Is this true?
I was working on getting a new car, and I actually called somebody today, but I'm going to call another guy. And it's a possibility. I'm always working on stuff.
Like shock packages that Don O'Neill's running?
I wish I could talk that guy into just going down to his dad's house, walk in the shop, just grab me what I need off of the walls. I don't even have to have him if he can just give me the paperwork. I'll take that.
So I'm actually sitting at the headquarters of Slicker Graphics right now.
Are you getting the wrap put on the modified?
Yeah.
Now, what show is that car going to?
I'm taking it to Cavalcade.
Taking it to the Cavalcade Customs. Yep. And it has the Auto Glass Resources logo on it, right?
Yep. It's got the new MD3 nose.
The new MD3 nose.
And we got a new sponsor for this year, Full Throttle Indoor Go-Karting.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's why you guys have been going and hanging out down there.
I like go-karts.
Webb, this has been like the local hangout here lately. I mean, I think Chad Smith has been spotted there, and Matt Hamilton, and a few guys. Chad Oberson's been down there, and obviously Josh Edwards.
Do they run on Sundays? I could possibly fly by or swing by there on Sunday after the Indianapolis show. They race on Sundays.
I think so.
Yeah, they do.
They are
every night of the week. They have
it might happen. Josh, go ahead real quick. Tell us about your what was the name of the wrap company?
Slicker Graphics.
Slicker Graphics. You got a website?
Yes, he does.
Hit me up
with
it.
www.slickergraphics.com.
If you are located in and around, and you said, what part of Ohio again?
He's in
Hamilton, Ohio.
He's in the Cincinnati area. Michael Lefevers, he's a young guy from up north of here, from where I'm at. Does a really awesome job on doing design work. He knows how to put that stuff on. He's got some real cool looking cars out there. As a matter of fact, he designed a few of my cars in the beginning of the year. So if anybody wants to see any of his work, just look at the earlier pictures from 2011 at BrianGrayRacing.com.
Well, Josh, I appreciate you calling, man.
Not a problem. You guys have a good night.
See you, Josh.
All right, we got another one up here. Go ahead, caller. What's your name and where are you from?
My name is Stephen Barton from up here at Brush Creek Motorsports Complex here in Peoples, Ohio.
Steve, I met you when I was up there. It's Webb Dillard. I was up there for the rained out version of Billy Bob. How are you, sir?
Oh yeah, that rained out version. That was rough one. We'd like to forget one of them, but
that's right.
I'm doing all right. And I thought I'd actually take advantage of your show a little bit and talk about. We announced our major date schedule here for Brush Creek, and I thought if you'd let me, I'd talk a little bit about that real quick.
Sir, the floor is yours.
All right. Well, first of all, we got our opening night, Saturday, April 14th. We're going to get everything kicked off. Always we race late models, UMP modifieds, our legend cars, crazy compacts, which is something if any of the listeners would like to get involved in. They're just a stock 4-cylinder class. I believe someone on here earlier was talking about a front-wheel drive big race they had going on somewhere else, but that's very similar to that. The rules are on our website, very cheap to get into, and there's also a big race for them at our place later in the year. We'll get to that. And, but we're also a new class this year for us is the mini wedges. They race at places like Tyler County Speedway, and I believe Skyline races them some too. So we're trying out the mini wedges. That's also a way to get your kids ages 6 to 14 involved in racing. And we got some of them crazy and wild enduros. I don't know if you've ever seen an enduro, but
I thought you guys cut the enduros out, Stephen.
No, we did cut the enduro out for one race last season, but the enduros are back. We got about 6 of them on the schedule every year, and opening night's got one of them on it.
So you cut that one race out just to bust my buddy's balls a little bit?
Which one are you talking about? The January one?
No, the last one.
Oh, the one on...
Didn't you guys cancel that like the day of?
No, the DRC night? That was a week before, man.
Oh, shoot, yeah, and you guys cut the laps, too, in that big compact race that a bunch of us sponsored and paid money for, too, didn't you?
We didn't cut no. We didn't say we was going to run no 20 laps, but...
Well, you had somebody promoting it and selling laps for it. I mean, it was just a few more laps, wasn't it? I mean, how much? I mean, it didn't cut into your program that bad.
Someone on here earlier tonight was talking about times, and sometimes you got to roll with the times and make sure you don't keep all your fans there, like people don't like to come back. But
nice response, Steve. Nice response. Good job.
I'm just trying to beat him up, Webb.
Nah, he's doing good. This kid's always impressed me. He's a future promoter. I mean, he's promoting now. There's no future to it. He's a promoter now.
That's absolutely what he's doing. He does a good job at working the game.
So give us a website, Stephen.
You can go to brushcreekmotorsports.com. It's got all our major event schedules, stuff like the DRC night. Brian was talking about that compact race. That is the king of the compacts that Jody Shannon helps put on from the DRC.net. You can check that on there. And also the Epic Weekend there at the end of the year is back again, too, September 28th and 29th. So if you just go to brushcreekmotorsports.com, and it's got all that information on there.
Hey, thank you for calling, man, and you call anytime you want to if you want to promote a race, as long as I get free walking tacos when I come.
What about the hidden gem?
I will see if we can do that.
Are you going to do that again?
What's that?
The hidden gem. Are you going to do that again?
We haven't announced anything yet. We're still looking at some different stuff, but it'll be, if we do it, it'll be we'll announce it here in the coming time, and and we might just announce it on this show if we can.
There you go.
That's your crown jewel, Stephen. I mean, that's your baby. Tell him you want to do it again. Do it on a weekend,
though. On a weekend. You didn't like that midweek stuff?
The midweek thing kind of threw me for a loop a little bit.
Well,
but that's just me being selfish. You know.
We're going to get to this next caller. Thanks for calling, and anytime you want to come on the show, just give me a call, brother.
All right, thanks for letting me talk.
No problem, bro.
Bye.
All right, let's see who this next caller is. It says all ones on his...
I got a guy who's messaging me here, Bust Parton's butt.
All right, caller, what's in the dirt? What's your name and where are you from? You're on, caller.
My name is Marie Watson, and I'm from Richmond, Nebraska. And I have a couple questions for Brian.
Hi, Marie. How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Brian?
I'm sitting here talking with Webb and these guys a little bit, all the way from Nebraska.
Yeah. I read a lot on 4M about you, and I was just wondering, how many races have you won?
How many races have I won? Well,
yeah, because you and Bloomquist are the top people that I read about on 4M here lately, and I was just wondering. And I was wondering what series you run, or if you're just a local driver around Kentucky and Ohio.
Well, I run locally around Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. I do, every now and again I'll hit one of the Lucas races or ADRL or something like that. But for the most part, I'm a local guy here in the Cincinnati area, which I like to call the heart of dirt late model racing in Ohio, Kentucky, and Indiana. And we've been doing this thing for about 4 years now, and coming up through the ranks a little bit, learning a lot. But yeah, I do have some relentless friends on the 4M.
Well, I've seen good and bad things about you, but you still didn't tell me how many races you won. Heat, contests, features. I'd
say all in all that there's probably, I couldn't even, I'm not even going to count how many wins, but yeah, I've won some features, not in the dirt late model, but I have won some features in the modifieds and some in the asphalt days. So
now, Colin,
we're not just going, the 4M thing is really, the dirt late model program. Have we won features in the dirt late model? No, we haven't won any features in the dirt late model yet, but we will definitely get there. I promise you that.
Hang on one second. Now, caller, can you be more specific on what you might have heard on Brian Gray? Because I'm not privy. I get on there sometimes, but what exactly did you? Because you said you heard stuff about Bloomquist and Brian Gray. What specifically?
Oh, not Bloomquist and Brian Gray together. Just the multiple posts about Bloomquist, and then the multiple posts about Brian Gray of how great they are. Either people love them or hate them, things like that.
Brian is a very knowledgeable guy of the sport. He's got a pretty respectable background in the sport. But that's what's great. The fact that you called in, and the fact that you called in to kind of put him through the ringer. That's what we need. We need to get. And Brian.
I agree with you, Webb. That's what I was waiting for, and I think we were talking about this earlier. Because I do look at the message board, and I see what people post on there, and obviously, you read the same thing that I'm reading. So it gets interesting at times. There's a lot of bad. There's a lot of good. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure, that just look at it and probably shake their head and say, "What the heck is this guy doing?" or whatever. And I get that.
Now, Miss, tell us a little bit about the racing scene in Nebraska, and talk about your local track and some of your guys down there. What's going on in Nebraska in the racing scene?
Well, obviously it's over right now, but we had a good season this year.
What tracks do you typically go to?
There you go.
The track?
Yeah. What's your favorite racetrack that runs dirt late models?
Oh, I go all over up in Nebraska. I go from top of the state to the bottom.
Why does this voice sound so familiar?
I don't know, but
I've heard this voice before.
Well, because I'm not hearing.
How have you heard my voice? I live in Nebraska. This is my first time even calling in on a radio show. Okay. I just wanted to ask you a couple questions because I'm looking into getting my boy a late model.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you probably should look at oldmansgarage.com for late model accessories.
Or call Masterbuilt, Jonathon Master's dad, Tater, builds some of the best cars around.
Well, ma'am,
my boy Jason Watson, he grew up around racing. I took him to I-80 Speedway his whole life.
Okay, so there's the first Speedway. She did say a Speedway finally, Brian.
Okay.
Now,
but I was just asking because I want to expand my knowledge to be able to help him. Listen, I think the parents are a big support in this, and I just wanted to know, for a local guy, how much money do you put into the racing, and how many cars do you have?
The money that I put into the racing, I couldn't really give you an exact number. I can tell you that I have 2 cars. One of them is sitting at the Swami's garage, and the other one is...
Swami?
The Swami is the Swami. You don't know who the Swami is?
I live in Nebraska, no.
I know, but see, so you get on 4M and you just look at posts about me then.
No, I look at posts. The day I looked at your post is the day that it was filled on 4M. Like, almost every other post was about you or had your name in it or had something about you in it.
I think my name was in every single one of those at one point in time. Didn't we talk about this, didn't we, Webb?
I'm just saying that's the night I had read it, and, I've been looking, like I said, to get my son a car, and I was just wondering, and I have some questions.
Cool. No, nobody. I appreciate you listening. I appreciate you calling in, and this show it's planned to be informative to an extent.
If you're looking at getting your son a car, I'd say right off of the bat, everybody's told me from the beginning when I was going to get started in the you're talking about a dirt late model, right?
Yes.
Everybody's told me call C.J. Rayburn. Rayburn, call him up.
That's not a bad piece of advice there. I mean, that's the godfather of dirt racing anyway.
And everybody says that those cars will take a beating, and obviously they will, because I've seen Wayne Chen wing the crap out of those things around Moeller, and I'm talking Moeller sometimes turns into a motocross course.
I've got a cousin that runs a C.J. Rayburn dirt car in open wheel modified figure 8s on asphalt, and does pretty well with it.
The only problem is with those is, aren't they only good on certain track conditions, like dry and slick? You
got a good conversation, coach.
That's all a myth, because if you look at it, guys win with Rockets, guys win with Masterbuilt and Barry Wrights, and you still see Rayburn cars winning. It all boils down to the one thing: how much time are you willing to spend working on it and getting it right? You can make any of them work. Anybody will tell you that. You just got to learn to drive it.
What kind of car do you run, Brian?
Well, I do have an 02 Rocket that I got from Mike Lawrence a couple years ago. But I also have a car that we built in the garage here, which is one of my designs, which is really totally one of my designs. A lot of people don't think that, but I've got the tubing benders and I've got a surface plate down there. I can show you. I can build any of them anytime you want.
Well, Brian,
and I can do it for a tenth of what it would cost me to buy a new car.
If you'd like to get more information about the cars Brian builds, you can get a hold of me at inthedirtradio@gmail.com, or Brian.
You can go to BrianGrayRacing.com.
BrianGrayRacing.com.
Or just look me up on Facebook. My account's always logged in, so while I'm working during the day, you message me, I'll message you back. I talk to a lot of people regularly.
Brian, how was your first jaunt into in the dirt?
Hey, I had some fun. For a second there, I was thinking that was somebody that I knew. I could swear I know that voice.
She's called back. Well, I really appreciate her calling. Her number is
Just give out the area code.
It can't be. It's all one. She's got some kind of block on it.
Yeah, she's blocked it out. You know why? And I'm not even going to call it out. But I got a feeling that she's connected with the 10 car somehow.
Listen, Brian Gray, you cannot be a stranger on my show, brother. I've had so much fun tonight. We've gone 20 minutes long. That's the good thing. I'm good. I'd like to thank Kelley Carlton, Kelcar Motorsports. I'd like to thank Jonathon Masters of the Indianapolis Industry Trade Show. I'd like to thank Rick Salter, late model driver, Illinois. That Barry Wright story is pretty good. I read it online, and he was. I wish he would have got in it, but could you imagine Barry Wright calling your house? Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, Barry Wright, how are you?
What's that shock package you guys run the other night at Charlotte?
Yeah, what do you got underneath Jonathon Davenport's car there, son? That's what I want to know. That's the only thing I want to know from Barry Wright is what is he doing to them cars to make Jonathon Davenport fly around that racetrack like that?
Well, it was rough. It was rough early going in the season for Jonathon Davenport. He didn't have the season like he did last year.
I think he's getting some help somewhere else though. I don't know exactly where. I'm not going to start a rumor or anything, but I got a feeling he's dealing with one of them guys over there in North Carolina on some stuff.
Oh my goodness! I can just see for him now. Brian Gray said. Well, Brian, I certainly thank you, brother.
I enjoyed it, Webb. Call me up, and I'll come on anytime.
Well, you're certainly going to be back for sure. And I'd like to thank all my listeners and the callers. Hope we'll have more calls in the future. And this is Webb Dillard for Brian Gray. We're in the dirt, and we're out of here.
The DRC rocks.
And it does.